Hey everybody, this is Jorik. Welcome back to Portugal and Beyond. I hope you're having a really good day. Today's video, I wanted to go through our trip, our flight from Lisbon, Portugal, routing through Madrid, Spain, into the United States, Dallas, Texas, and then residing, final destination here, Phoenix, Arizona. I want to go through this because there's something that happened along the way that's different than what I've told you about the U.S. and something that's a little unique. So I want to make sure that you hear about our trip. I'll kind of talk this about a flight review of how things went, just so that you know as you're preparing, if you're coming to the U.S., let's say you've already done your travel. I know a lot of my subscribers are from the U.S. As you're traveling abroad and coming into the U.S., there's a little bit of a nuance or change that I want to talk about. But I'm going to go through my trip real quick. So, as I mentioned, Lisbon, Portugal is home, and we were flying to Spain to get a connecting flight into the U.S. So, as we were getting ready for our trip and looking to do our boarding pass and check in, we had our Spain passenger locator form. Even though it was a connecting flight, we still needed to complete that form to be fully checked in. Then we needed to complete the U.S. attestation form, which is a several page long form, and submit that information as well. That's the thing that changed on us in Madrid, which I'll go into in a little bit. And then we had our passport information that we had to supply, as well as our COVID documents. So you need to either your vaccination, your booster, or your recovery documents, test as well, depending on what your situation is and what country you're coming from. So we had all of our ducks in a row, submitted that information, and then the airline said, thank you for the information, but you need to come to the counter so when you're entering the airport and still check in. So although we supplied all that information, it took about 35 to 40 minutes to complete. We still had to go to the airport anyway to get our actual boarding passes for our flight. So we did that, no questions asked. We held all of our documentation, super. We fly to Madrid, got about an hour and a half layover, no sweat, easy flight. What we did have though is when we got to the gate, they were checking everyone, and this is an hour before you would actually board the plane, and making sure that all of our documents were correct and in line, which is what happens today. But what happened is we go through and they said, did you fill out the U.S. attestation form? And we said, yes, we did. And all of us in line said yes. But what we had to do is fill out another one. So although we had already submitted that information, we already had our confirmation that we did that in Madrid to fly to the U.S., we had to complete another form. So no big deal, but that's something that was a little bit of a nuance. Hadn't heard that before in other videos or other articles. So although we had completed the 6 or 7 page form, which I did a video on if you've seen it, we had to complete another form, which was just a 1-page form, had a lot of the same information. So just extra paperwork. So not a big deal. It didn't delay anything. It was just something that we hadn't prepared for. That's kind of the whole nature of this video. And for traveling in 2022 and beyond, got to be flexible and got to be patient, because almost expect the unexpected. So that was a little bit of a curveball. But again, no biggie, able to get on our flight in Madrid, fly into Dallas. What's cool about coming into the U.S. now these days, more things are digitized. So instead of standing in long lines and getting asked a laundry list of questions, oftentimes it's now facial recognition, they verify you, and away you go. We happen to have global entry. We've had that for years, so we still have that. So getting into the U.S. in Dallas, it was a breeze, because they just took a picture of me without my glasses, verified me, and then that was it. It was very simple. Then we got on our connecting flight from Dallas into Phoenix. Again, a breeze. They just did the normal boarding pass, didn't check any other documents. So Lisbon, so that was the flight into the U.S., And for those of you that haven't traveled for a couple of years, please note, if you're whatever your last destination is before going into Europe, or your last destination prior to entering into the U.S., they're going to check all of your documents. They're going to make sure that you have everything in order. Otherwise, you won't be able to board the plane. And specifically, the attestation form, that passenger locator form for the U.S., which is a different name, but kind of the same thing, that has now changed to where it was a 6.5 to 7 page form. It's now a 1-page form. So I would expect anyone traveling back to the U.S. in the coming weeks, this is February of 2022, that if you've already uploaded and completed the long form, you may get asked at the gate to complete a second form. So don't get frustrated, just expect it. And as I continue to travel, I'm going to make these videos so that regardless of where you're traveling in the world, and I'll say mostly North America to Europe and UK and back, that's where most of our travel is going to be. I'm going to do these just in case there's any gotchas or changes, just so you have hopefully the latest and greatest information so that you can be as prepared as possible when you're traveling, so that you don't get caught off guard with, well, hey, Jork didn't tell me to do this, or I watched another YouTube creator and they said something completely different. I want you to have the most accurate information. So as of February 20th, 21st, 2022, this was our trip experience to the U.S. The attestation form was different from the one that we completed. We'll see what happens. We're going to be traveling back to Portugal the second week of March. I'll do another video about what it was like to go from the U.S. back into Europe, so that you know, again, what is the latest from someone that's actually traveling and actually in the air. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos. I really appreciate it. It gives me a lot of encouragement. Also, please leave comments. Depending on how you're traveling, let me know and let subscribers know what your experience has been, because you might have had a different experience. And the whole idea is the more comments and the more people that give us up-to-date information is helpful to everybody, including myself. So greatly appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Hey, thanks so much for watching the full video. If you get a chance, and if you're interested in reading some crazy workplace stories, please check out my 2 books, Magnet of Madness Volume 1 and Volume 2, both available on Amazon in ebook or softcover. If you want to make fun of me, there's plenty of stories where you can do that. If you want to make yourself feel better about the job that you're in, it'll make you feel better too. But crazy stuff that happened over 30 years, you won't believe it until you read it. So thank you so much for watching. And if you get a chance, pick up a copy of one of these on Amazon. Thank you so much.